What's poppin'? So I love Godzilla, if that wasn't apparently obvious. But Godzilla has been not only a staple in pop culture, but has also been one of the sole reasons why movie theaters survived back when the cough cough was around. The box office alone has probably lost billions from the delayed and setback projects. As things are starting to pick back up again, it's important to note how dry media was during the height of Rona. Like, most things were coming out on streaming services, or were shelved until protocols were made, or they were even capable of resuming filming. A lot of things just died. And for us moviegoers, this sucked. So many good projects were pushed back years, and only now are they coming out. Big blockbusters were essentially gone for a good period of time, and most people began to accept life with streaming services, and that was their main way of consuming content now. Now, I have mixed feelings on streaming services. Like, they're nice to have, but I was still longing to go back to a theater and watch something on the big screen, in a dark room, with extreme sound and amazing picture quality. I prefer watching my movies in the theater. So when Godzilla vs. Kong was delayed, it really seemed like it was going to be a loss for fans. Until, in January, we got a trailer for the movie which kept hopes alive, and honestly built up so much hype for this movie, it was absurd. But unfortunately, it'd be a good while for this movie. Whoa. It's coming out in March? The trailer had only come out 2 months before the actual movie, which is typically unusual considering trailers come out a few good months before. You know, allowing hype and good marketing and early merchandise in some cases. But no, the movie's just going, and it was on its way to release. And it did just that. On March 24th, Godzilla vs. Kong made its debut to the world as the first major blockbuster since the start of COVID. And this was big. Movie theaters were struggling to bring people into the theaters, and some even shut down temporarily or permanently because they could not maintain themselves during such a difficult time. So when Godzilla vs. Kong released, it was a saving grace bringing people in, managing to be the best performing opening weekend during this time, which wasn't really saying much considering nothing did good during this time, but it's still a win. Godzilla vs. Kong garnered $32.2 million on its opening weekend, which consisted of Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. This was a good start. By the end of its theatrical run, it would manage to squeeze out $468.2 million, which was extremely good, especially for the time. It even managed to beat out its predecessor, Godzilla King of the Monsters. This is surprising considering Godzilla King of the Monsters would have been given the edge, but this proved to be the boost theaters needed to start to get back into the swing of things, and it showed people wanted to go to the movies to watch their favorite characters and stories. This was the perfect incentive that theaters needed. Don't get me wrong, Godzilla vs. Kong would still release on HBO Max on the 31st of the same month, but theaters had gotten the motivation they needed. Soon after, other movies like Free Guy and The Matrix Resurrections would release in theaters, and regardless of whether they performed well, it proved that theaters had some confidence back in them, and they owe all the success to Godzilla vs. Kong. The film itself is just a ton of fun, and it is a great monster beatdown blockbuster that theaters desperately needed. Theaters for years have been struggling to compete with streaming services, but I think there is still a good amount of people that want to see their favorite films on the big screen, and no amount of streaming services can ever beat that feeling. In my humble opinion, of course. If you genuinely love streaming services more than theater, well, that is your opinion, but I don't like you.
Now you die.
I believe that GVK is also the reason why the Monsterverse is even able to keep going. After King of the Monsters, people didn't really seem too interested in the whole Godzilla universe, but having the two most iconic monsters duke it out was everything that theaters needed and the Godzilla franchise needed to keep itself going another decade or so. I'm super excited for Godzilla and Kong to team up and fight another foe. Godzilla managed to bring people back into the theaters and save some theaters from falling into bankruptcy. He is truly a hero of both worlds, and we owe it to him. Oh, and whoever says Kong won any of the rounds of fighting between Godzilla can go put themselves in a trash can, because you will never make me believe that. Ain't no way Godzilla lost any of those 1v1 matches. So, you could shut up. Sorry, let's get back on track. But that's a quick story of how Godzilla saved cinema. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe and leave a like, and check out some of my other awesome videos. And I'll catch you all next time.